Not excite him too much. And then I'm going to just loop down onto the other side of the waterhole and get a nice low angle, better sunlight. And we are going to get spoiled with some magical, magical views of him. Oh, this is going to be good, everyone. Here goes. He's busy churning up the mud with his foot there, you can see, creating the right solution that he can then grip up with his trunk and splay and splatter all over his body. I'm just going to keep quiet for a while and we can just listen and watch. It's as if he doesn't even know which part of his body he wants to cover in mud first. He's going on top, underneath, on the side. And it looks like he's getting the perfect consistency churned up there. Hard to believe that he was resting those massive tusks in that trunk against our vehicle a few minutes ago. Hello to Lucy, Brian and Inga, who have just furnished us with some very, very interesting information. And that is that this is the same elephant bull that had a very close encounter with Tara Perry. I think he also touched the vehicle, possibly not as much as he touched it with us, I don't think. And that is fascinating. He's obviously got that very distinctive hole in his ear, which is a great defining characteristic. Now, what's further interesting is that it's not uncommon for elephants, especially elephant bulls, to go very close to female guides who may be menstruating. Oh, look at this. He's plunging his tusks into the mud. You're going to break dance for us? Oh, this is so awesome. Look at that power. Fascinating. Look at all the mud on his tusks now. Polishing. Yeah. As I was saying though, before I pulled off that very strange stunt, it's not uncommon for elephants to investigate very closely females who may be menstruating. Now it looks like he's coming to say hello to us again. Boy, you cannot do what you did earlier. No. 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 No, you cannot do this. It is bad behavior. Settle down, boy. We will not tolerate that ill behavior again. We are loving you being so close. No. No, boy. No. 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 Go on. Whew. He is moving off. But we are going to send you across to James, and we are probably going to leave him be now. Hey. Settle down, boy. Settle down.
All right, we'll just let Scott get out of that situation. Excuse my glasses, of course. It's very bright out here. We'll keep you updated as things unfold, but I'm sure it's just a case of getting out of there a bit more quickly. He is moving away from the elephant. Everything is okay. Fear not. Now we are driving down. Well, much the same way that we were. I'm trying, of course, to match the energy of the sighting you've just had. Is difficult when you're, well, you're looking at a couple of trees. They're pretty harmless. They don't tend to have a go at us much. Termite mound. So I suppose we might be able to get a soldier termite to have a go at us, but that one was closed. Leopard tracks, maybe.
Well, Dave's heart rates and my heart rates are both skyrocketing, as I'm sure a lot of yours are as well. Words cannot describe what just happened there. Just the most fascinating behavior from this elephant. He's not being aggressive, he's simply being inquisitive. Obviously, 6 tons of inquisitiveness can be hugely scary, and even though he may not mean to harm us, he could very easily. That's why we did decide to start the vehicle, and what I did, he's just feeding gently over there now on the dam wall, as if nothing ever happened. At one point, I think I tried to push him away. That's why I've got some of his mud on my hand. He's also got all of this mud here from where he was pushing up against the vehicle. His tusk was literally right over here, and there's some more mud over here. That was scary. That was probably, well, it was by far the closest I've ever been to a wild elephant. Earlier on, when we got a whole engine between us and him, it wasn't as bad, but when it was just this flimsy door, which is essentially as thick as a tin of baked beans, and when he was right here in all his glory, it was terrifying. I thought he would have also responded to my voice. You would have noticed how I tried to escalate my volume and my voice to try and deter him. In retrospect, maybe I should have been a little bit louder earlier on, possibly used the vehicle engine a little bit earlier on to prevent him getting that close, but I guess hindsight is easy to reflect on and say I should have done this or I should have done that. But just the most fascinating interaction with African giants, and I'm very, very happy that you were all here alongside to experience that, because I do not think that is going to happen again in my lifetime, and possibly neither in yours. So a magical memory shared with many people. So good stuff, Dave. Bit of a baptism of fire there. Earlier on, when we had that young elephant bull close to us, right at the beginning of the show, feeding maybe a meter from the vehicle, afterwards Dave says, "Wow, that was incredible. I've never been so close to elephants." Well, little did you know, Dave, that shortly after that we were going to have one pushing against the front of the vehicle. Shortly after that, one right here. Dave did a great job on camera there, so well done for keeping your head and not running for the closest form of cover. Thank you for not abandoning ship. And again, I don't think you will ever get to film something like that in your life again. So that is one to put in the memory bank in a very, very safe closet. And again, what a great privilege that we got to share that with people around the world. My mother would have had to pour herself 5 drinks by now if she's watching. Paul Rizzo, you would like to know why Kirsty decided to cut away from me. I think if you were the director, you would have done the same thing, Paul. If that elephant had have decided to squash me, which it could have at any moment, there's nothing to say that it wouldn't, it wouldn't have been nice for all of you to see. So I guess that's Kirsty's reasoning, and I think she definitely made the right decision. It was getting a little bit too hairy. There was nothing we wanted to hide from you. As you saw, the elephant was still there, feeding peacefully afterwards. But I think, yes, the fact, you know, there's only so much risk or gamble you can take on these live safaris, and we would hate for any of the younger viewers or any of the viewers to witness somebody getting attacked. The same thing happened when another presenter was charged. It was a very different scenario to what we've just encountered, and the elephant came running and crashing into the vehicle, and the director did the same thing. He cut to me in a lion sighting. It was two sleeping Matimba males somewhere on our northern boundary, and it was early in the afternoon. It was still hot. I knew that Mark was with these elephants, a herd of elephants. I thought, this is, you know, elephants sighting. He's going to hold the fort for at least 15-20 minutes before they come back to me. And all of a sudden, I just heard, crash, cut, you're live, you're live. So I was like, welcome back, everyone. And the director didn't decide to tell me what actually happened. So I was just like, not sure why you've come to us so quickly, but the lions are still sleeping. Alex tells me that, you know, I must tell you that Mark and Romeo, the cameraman, are safe, everything's fine. I only found out what happened when I got back to camp, so that was interesting. Anyway, I think he also made the right decision, because we don't want to be showing tragic scenes live to the world. So I guess that's that, Paul. To have a heart rate monitor there, that would have been fascinating. Sure. My hat trick didn't work too well the second time around, as you noticed. Maybe I need a bigger hat, a wide brim. Maybe one of the ones that the Australians use with corks on it would also have had a more desirable effect there. So I'm having some issues with my comms here. So I'm battling to hear the questions you guys are asking me. I started creeping away, he started following, and then I stopped the car immediately, reversed, and did a loud rev as I reversed, just to say, no, you're not going to chase us, we are not running away from you, we're merely leaving because we've had enough, and if you think you can charge us, I can charge you as well. So that was the theory that I employed there. Nothing overly aggressive, it was just a little bit of I can see he's following, and I just, like that, just to say, no more of that, and then that stopped him, and then I slowly crept away, and he had, by that stage, decided to move on. So it's something important to remember if being given trouble by elephants. If you start fleeing, and that's why everyone says to you, your general rule in the bush or with any animal that's charging you in any continent, wherever you go, if something charges you, standing your ground is going to make it think twice. Even confronting it is going to make it think 3 times. But by turning and running, you're immediately saying, I'm out of here. And that makes the animal think, whoa, I'm coming after you, I'm going to get you, and I'm going to squash you. So even though we're smaller than animals, our brain power can sometimes make us more powerful than them, at least appear to be more powerful than them. And it's no different to if a human half your size came up to you and started being all aggressive, and you thought, jeez, this guy must know something. He's either a ninja, or he's got a gun, or, you know, there's something that this guy is causing him to be very confident. And even though it may just be a display, it will make a human twice the size of that individual think twice about attacking him. Whereas if a person just runs off screaming, you're going to think, oh, well, I got this, I'm going to crush that person. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I see it, at least. He was merely being inquisitive. An animal of that size may not know its strength, and If he had have sneezed, he probably could have killed us there. So... Shell in Detroit, you would like to know if the elephant was touching Dave at all, or the camera. It would have been close, but no, it wasn't, thankfully. Not that we can remember, at least. Phew. There's a little yellow-billed hornbill. Looks like it's just taking it easy, soaking in this wonderful evening. Have you had a successful day hunting, Mr. Hornbill? Or Mrs. Hornbill? Not too sure which is which. Time to do some preening. Good idea. This is one animal that I'm going to miss. It's such a fun-looking animal. I really do love them. You don't get them in my hometown, Durban, or in Cape Town, Nikki's hometown, where we'll be spending the next couple of months working out what to do next. So I'm going to miss you guys. And your funny call I've just tried to impersonate. What I'm not going to miss is when they come banging they see their reflection on the glass doors that lead into Nikki and my bedroom. And in the middle of the day while we're having a snooze, you'll hear ka-dunk, and they've landed on the floor and they're pecking essentially themselves, their reflection, in those glass doors, so they can be a bit of a nuisance when you're trying to have our midday siestas. The crested barbets also sometimes get involved in that. I think it's a good exercise workout for them. It certainly doesn't harm them, just keeps them occupied. So I haven't bothered too much about trying to change that. Great, well, we're going to leave this hornbill to its own devices, continue searching for anything interesting for you guys, and while we do that, we are going to send you back to Mr. Henry. Goodbye.
Hello! I am up here for a specific reason. I'm trying to get to the mistletoe over there. Now, the reason for that is not so that I might hang it over Gendre's head and he can give me a little kissy. Oh no. It is, in fact, so that I can retrieve some of the fruit. Because about the fruit I have been reading. And the fruit is, well, it's very sticky. It's got something in it called vicium. And vicium, apparently, is how this plant breeds. Now what it does is it's specialized in by something called a yellow-fronted tinker barbet, which is a very pretty bird, which I cannot show you from where I currently am. And it makes a call that goes all day long. They eat about 170 of the fruits every day. And what happens is that the fruit is digested within the stomach of the bird. The skin comes off within the stomach, and then they regurgitate it. And it's covered in this vicium. And the vicium then sticks to the bird's beak as it is regurgitated. The bird then cleans its beak upon the tree, and then the seed sticks to the tree. And, oh, here we go. I can't believe I found one. So this particular little piece of plant here, I don't know if you can see it clearly, is the mistletoe. And it's growing from, I can't even find the source of it, there are a few different plants. It's actually growing, Gendre, from the edge of the sort of further sticky outy branch. There's a huge gall from which this plant is growing. And I'll bring down the seeds now, and you can have a look at them. Now we'll try and sort of pick out the sticky vicium, and you can see exactly what it is that the bird gets stuck to his beak before he then sticks it on the side of a tree. And it then grows from there. Andre, why are you giggling? Here we go. Beautiful sunset about to take place with any luck. And marvelous clouds, as I said earlier, allowing us to enjoy the afternoon without the blinding light of the sun. Now, one other interesting thing about this tree, Andre, if I might, before I fall out of it, is the state of this branch I'm standing on here. You can see that it's bent at a kind of odd angle. And it's bent at this angle because an elephant has pulled it off a few times, and it's kind of growing all over the place. And this is, of course, a great adaptation of the marula tree. It has learned to cope with the machinations and attacks from elephants that beset them every so often. Elephants love the fruit. Elephants love the bark. Elephants love the leaves. All right, this is going to be the awkward bit. Here we go. And we're down. So, Andre, why aren't you clapping? You would be if you weren't operating the camera. Thank you very much. Thank you. Whew. Here's the seed, or the fruit. So what the barbet will do is eat this green thing, and in its stomach, of course, is a gizzard, and the gizzard is a little kind of muscular pouch that's filled with stones. And that muscular pouch will tear off, here we go, this is going to be fascinating, will tear off this bit, the green bit, and then the barbet will regurgitate this seed. How's this? This is incredible. It will regurgitate the seed will get stuck on the beak, and you can see all that vicium there. And it cleans the beak against the branch, so it'll fly off, and then you've seen birds cleaning their beaks against the branch, and that will stick against the branch from which a new mistletoe plant will grow. How cool is that? I think that's really cool. Okay, there it is. We'll see if we can get one to sprout from there. It's very, very sticky. Let me plug myself back in and we'll carry on our search for the leopard. I'm really glad we managed to do that. I was terrified that when I got up there would be no fruits, and if there were no fruits, then I just sort of looked like a palooka standing in a tree. Well, wouldn't be the first time I've looked like a palooka standing in a tree. I think we're in for a magnificent sunset today. Lynn, you have obviously been watching a while, and you saw me plant at one stage the seed pod of a leopard orchid. That was also with Jean-Andre, wasn't it? Planted it in a tree at the Buffles, not the Buffles Dam, at the Djuma Dam, in a knobthorn tree, and it looked like it was doing quite well until one day I went to check in it, and as I got there, I saw a beastly little squirrel come running out of the hole where I'd planted it, and it had devoured the entire thing, so it didn't in fact germinate at all. I need to do a little bit more research, I think, on how to propagate the leopard orchid, because I think it could be quite an interesting thing to try and grow. Anyway, there we go. Jean-Andre, shall we see if we can grow this one? I'll tell you what, we'll try and plant that seed. I've got a few in my pocket, and we'll see if we can't plant one of them on a tree around camp, and we'll see if it grows. Now, there's some concern about these mistletoes that they are, perhaps because of the drought, they're not as affected by drought as other trees are, because they just suck the kind of moisture out of the trees, and that they are causing die-off on the marulas. And the marulas are actually starting to slough off. So sacrifice the part of the tree that is being affected by the mistletoe. So that was a very big mistletoe plant, and it was, I don't think it's, I mean, maybe it's a coincidence, but it was a fairly scraggly marula tree, and the big healthy marula trees, you don't see these mistletoe plants in. It's those ones with the scraggly leaves that you often find them in, and what the trees can do is then sacrifice the limbs that the mistletoe are growing on. They shut off all circulation, and those branches will then fall off eventually, and the mistletoe will plummet to the ground. And I kind of think that's what was going on. Now, apparently Scott has got some male leopard tracks on, well, not too far from where he was last seen. So that's quite interesting. I, of course, came here in the hopes of finding male leopard tracks. I have found mistletoe. Anyway, we'll keep on keeping on.
Sorry, go again,
Thank you. That was very nice. The viewer gave me 8.3. I think it's Beth. Gave me an 8.3 for my tree climbing efforts. Jess gave me struggling to hear names today. Jess, you gave me an 8.3. I think it's quite kind. It's not very kind. My tree climbing was quite good there. Jean-Ray, what would you give me? 2. Okay. Well, Jess, thank you. You're obviously much more generous than Jean-Ray. We're going to go back towards the water hole at Buffelshoek and see if we can't find some more tracks there. Or perhaps, now that the heat of the day is kind of starting to ebb, perhaps a lion or a leopard will come out and have a drink. We still don't know where the rest of the Nkuhuma pride is. Angela, you have the final control of fits of hysteria. You say that, was I a monkey in my previous life? You've never seen anyone bend their body in the way that I do to climb a tree. Angela, I may have been a monkey, I may have been a cockroach, I'm not really sure. But certainly I do enjoy climbing trees. I wasn't very good at it as a youngster, but now as I've matured into ripe old, almost middle age, so I have enjoyed climbing trees even more. Whether I was a monkey or not in a previous life, I'm not sure. Now, Marianne, I think you might be right. You say that you've been taught your entire life that mistletoe berries are poisonous. Now, Arkansas is obviously far removed from where we are here, and there will be many different species of mistletoe, and sometimes I don't even know if they're related plants, because there are often English conventions that we use kind of, across the pond, as it were, that aren't necessarily the same. So, for example, what you'd call a buzzard, we'd call a vulture. What you'd call a turtle, we'd call a tortoise. And so I'm not sure if the mistletoe there is actually related to this mistletoe. I suspect it probably is distantly, though, and I wouldn't put this in my mouth. I think that it can be quite toxic to human beings, but it certainly isn't to the birds, and especially not the yellow-fronted tinker barbet, which enjoys immensely 170 fruits in a day if it can eat them. Can you imagine how many of them get distributed around the place? And Angela, you want to know if mistletoe is seasonal, if it grows all season? It's definitely seasonal. Remember that it gets its nutrients from the tree. So if the tree goes, it's a parasite. If the tree goes dormant, so too must the mistletoe, because it won't be able to get anything in the way of water. So absolutely, they are seasonal growing, and that's why we're going into autumn now, and so it will start to produce the fruits, as do many, many trees around the place. We've got our guarri trees. Marula's a bit different. Sour plum's a bit different, but certainly a lot of the berry-bearing trees are starting to produce their fruits now, and the mistletoe is no different. A very pretty sunset there that we can see. Kirsten's just pointing that out to me. Thank you, Kirsten. I'm looking for a leopard, of course, fading dismally at this stage. The other interesting thing that happened while you were away chatting with Scott was that Jean-Ray, of course, nearly doesn't realize this, but he nearly ended his life on a marula tree by mistake. He was leaning from from the back of the car doing sit-ups. Of course, he hooked his legs under the seat here and he was merrily doing his stomach exercises, and I looked behind me, and I mean, there was a marula tree right close to the road, which he didn't see at all, and, well, he nearly basically was cut off midway, as it were. Right, let's... That's quite a bitter link coming up here. Apparently, Scott is actually tracking a leopard as opposed to hoping to track one, so let's get across to him and get an update there.
You see, a guide of James's wisdom and experience doesn't actually need to track animals. He can sniff them out with his nostrils. So, I mean, it's only due to my inexperience that I have to do this hard work, dangling my head over the side of the vehicle, trying to work out what these big cats have done. James just has a feeling and finds them that way. There were big male leopard tracks. I think they're fresh. I think they're from sometime this afternoon. They look very crisp and clean. Now heading up towards this direction past the Philemon's Dip pump house. From that point I have lost the tracks. I'm not too sure where that leopard headed. It could be that I'm wrong and the tracks are not fresh, and that's why I've lost where they've gone on a busier section of road where people have driven over those tracks. Or maybe he's just lurking somewhere in this little riverbed off to our right. We have one or two go-away birds calling, quang, quang, just off to our right. It'll be a wonderful, wonderful way to finish off what's been an incredible safari with all of you. If we do manage to find this big male. But it doesn't appear that he's come this way. I can see a few monkey tracks. This is another road that was dragged today with tires, so it's incredibly easy to see any tracks on it. It's perfect fine film of powder. Exactly what you want to be tracking on. There are only a few monkeys that were running down in this direction that I can see. Hello, Jen Sherman, who has said that the go-away birds will always remind you of Nikki and myself, and I take that as a compliment. They are wonderful birds that I'm very happy to be associated with, so thank you for that, Jen. And my offering to you, Jen, is a beautiful sunset that I'm going to turn around for and just show you a glimpse of now. I mean, look at that. Beautiful. The sun just dipping below the horizon, some silver cluster leaves in the foreground, one or two marulas, and a bearded woodpecker doing its loud drumming call in the background. It'll do it again. Come on. Absolutely magical. The birds are all singing, Cape turtle dove, woodland kingfishers. That was a Cape turtle dove you heard there. And Murphy's Law, as soon as we give the birds some praise for their wonderful call, they go quiet. There's the woodpecker again. It's the only woodpecker that will drum loudly to communicate with other woodpeckers of its type. It's called the bearded woodpecker. Cuckoo-roo, cuckoo-roo. It's a Cape turtle dove calling. Another animal animal that would be wonderful to hear and possible while we are sitting here silently enjoying the sunset is, of course, this leopard that we're looking for. We could hear its loud rasping. That would be nice. All right, let's try and get... Oh. Whole host of Franklin has got the fright of their life. I wonder what caused it. Let's race in there. Maybe it's the leopard, maybe it's not, but let's take a gamble. Oh, a little fluttered off. They do get quite vocal at this stage of the evening, but then again, it could have been something that did give them the fright of their life, and because there is this little fairly open section that we can poke our noses into, it may be worth just seeing if we can't find where they are. If we find them elevated, sitting in a tree looking down, that would be a great sign, because that's usually the behavior that they perform when there's a ground predator, i.e. a leopard. Whereas if they stay on the ground, then that's usually a good indicator that it is a aerial predator that's giving them a hard time. Huh. Well, everything appears to have calmed down to a panic. Just listening carefully though, just to make sure I can't show any other birds. You know, the Franklin may have got a fright initially, and then other birds like rattling cisticolas or go-away birds could continue the alarm. It's such a beautiful evening. Let's keep on taking a look at what's going on to the west there. Clouds are getting illuminated, that light orange, beautiful scenes. Cape turtle dove. But definitely no more panic that I can hear regarding any of the species that will alarm call. So let's stick with the initial plan, which was to head back up to quarantine, which is a large open area where we'll hopefully be able to get you the last few moments of the sunset. And while we race across there, we are going to send you back to James.
Now, I don't know what to say. I was told that Scott was tracking a leopard and describing the sunset and showing it to you at the same time. We can't see the sun from where we are. Oh, yes, we can. Oh, yes, we can. We can see it there. Andre, show everyone the sun, quickly, before they don't believe I can find anything. There, I found the sun. Phew. Kirsten says Scott's was better. Kirsten is going to find the grey tree frog that we found in the bathroom today in her pillow this evening. And I can hear the massing. I'm really getting it in the neck today. Sorry, the grey tree frog that Nikki found in the bathroom today. But what I can hear, I might trouble the final control to possibly turn up my audio, I don't want to put them out at all, is the massing of the European bee-eaters. And the massing of the European bee-eaters there means that they are also thinking about going home, back to Europe, where it is that they also breed much like the swallows. And I think they will leave at a similar time, maybe a little bit later, maybe a few weeks later. And I think I'm going to sit just right here until the sun dips down below the horizon. Just turn this game drive radio off. There you can hear them. Chippa chip 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 chippa chip chip chip. Wonderful, wonderful sound. It's always made me feel attached to the wilderness, the European bee-eater, because we used to find them in Johannesburg as well. And so when I was sort of feeling down and I went for a walk along the sort of dirty river that they had there, quite a nice green belt though, the bee-eaters would mass on the telegraph poles, and it was just lovely to have them there. A nice connection to the wild, as is that incredible sunset. Right, on we go. Jean-Marie, why have you not spotted a leopard today?
I'm not found as attractive.
That is also true. Fair point. Now, the first time Jean-Marie came on drive, there was a leopard sitting right there, and we drove past, and of course Jean-Marie, it was his first day, and I thought he was this great galumphing palooka with enormous calves on the back of the vehicle, and he said, I think there's a lion in there, and I said, oh, don't be ridiculous, I definitely would have spotted it. Well, it wasn't a lion, but it was Mvula. So I was hoping he'd rather fancy a repeat performance today, but alas, he has not. Perhaps there is still time. No alarm calls this side of the reserve, and interestingly, you know, Buffelshoek Dam was a focal point for a long time. When the beginning of the drought came, it was the only kind of natural, well, semi-natural waterhole that had water in it, unpumped waterhole, and then it dried out completely for the first time, I think, in 20 years, and now nothing has come to drink there. I haven't seen anything come down to drink. Just a few birds have returned, but not much else has come back there. And I think it's indicative, A, of how much water there is, and B, how amazingly resilient and adaptable the animals are. I don't know where the hippo that lived there has gone. I don't know where the hippo that lived in Peter the hippo that lived in the pan, I don't know where he's gone either. But quite possibly up to Buffelshoek, at least up to Sydney's dam, where after that rain, there'll just be that much more water. And Marianne in Arkansas, a good question. I don't know where the hyenas have gone. They may well be still in their normal den. I just haven't been to look this afternoon. But I'll make an effort to try and go around there tomorrow morning, and we'll see what's happening there. So for those of you who don't know, we did go and check this morning, and there was absolutely nothing going on. Then we checked all the other den sites that we know of, and there's one on Aubrey's Road, which is a very small and sort of unsalubrious neighborhood. There are no nice shady trees over it or anything like that, and there's definitely not space for all of them in there. And there was a lot of hyena track around the place and a fresh bone, so maybe a few of the youngsters have been moved in there. I'm not sure, but we'll unravel the mystery of the hyenas fairly soon, and we will certainly try and do that. But the area in which they live is very full of deep drainage lines, so it sometimes takes us a little while in order to get in there and have a proper look. I'm not convinced they've moved. I just think that after it was A, starting to smell, B, the lions came round there and a lioness stuck her head right into one of the holes, and then C, they had that big conflict with the wild dogs, which I think would probably have unsettled them slightly, even though they caused it, of course. And then there were two youngsters around about where that leopard kill was this morning. Well, one youngster and one adult, probably Pretty, and then they headed off. Pretty didn't head off towards the den site. She moved off in a slightly different direction. So I don't know. We will find out, and that's the great and exciting thing about what we do out here, is that we learn all the time, and B, the mysteries of the wilderness continue to confound us. We're now pulling onto Buffelshoek cut line. I thought I saw an elephant there, but I didn't. No. And we'll see if there are any further tracks coming across here. I didn't find any tracks on the cheetah cut line, so that female leopard whose tracks went in there at some stage must be still around there, but I don't know. They do tend to be quite spirit-like, the leopards of this area. Still got a frog in my throat. Just check something quickly. Right, on we go. The sun is now set, of course, which means we must put on our lighties. And what I'm going to do is do one more turn past where that leopard kill is and see if we can't find something there. It's interesting. And Zoe, you want to know, obviously during winter the dawn chorus is that much more quiet, and you want to know if I associate any particular bird with the winter time. The one bird that is always here, always doing a great performance, no matter what time of the year it is the lilac-breasted roller. So I suppose I would associate them. But then also the starlings start to flock. The Birchall starlings, instead of occurring in ones and twos, occur in quite big flocks. So I suppose those would be the two birds that I associate with the winter time. But otherwise, no. I mean, everything is so quiet during the winter. I mean, you can stop in the morning and just hear the odd dove calling, maybe the odd franklin. But otherwise, it can be deathly hushed during the course of a morning. And so one doesn't normally associate birds with the winter here. Excuse me. On the coastal areas you would, of course, because a lot of the birds will migrate in for the winter. And Gilly, I completely agree with you. I have the same feeling here. You say you hate it when the swallows leave there and go south for your winter and our summer because it means that the summer's over. Absolutely, I feel the same thing. I certainly felt it in Johannesburg far more because Johannesburg, of course, is very cold in the winter time. But here, it's really so nice in winter that it doesn't. It's not as nice as the summertime, but it certainly is very pleasant, and especially after this summer, I think we'll be quite pleased to have some warmth, at least some cooth. I called a lion, or at least I called a buffalo a lion today, so the fact that I confused warm and cool is not that unusual. Hello, Jeff. You say, when will the dry season start again? Jeff, I mean, we haven't really had a wet season, but in theory it should start kind of at the end of this month, and it would go through until about November. So we have a very long dry season here. Might have the odd little bit of winter rain, but not much. That's in a normal year. I couldn't possibly tell you what's going to happen now. But normally by the end of March, maybe the end of April, the rains have ceased completely. And then we'll have 3 months of the most astonishingly perfect weather. There'll be 1 or 2 days when you'll get a cold front coming through, but otherwise it's just clear skies, balmy, warm days and chilly mornings. It's beautiful. Just all in these puddles. Now, we were asking about why, we have been asked a few times about why we're not seeing, you want this puddle, do you, Chandra? Much less impressive puddle, but you can have this one if you want. There, thank you. Well, that's a decent-sized puddle, really. This is a joke. There, it's a much better puddle, don't you think? We've been asked why there are no animals at the Djuma Dam pan at the moment. Well, that's why. There's lots of water around the place now. It won't last long unless we have more rain. Within a week, those will all be dry. But that's why the Djuma Dam pan is that's why the Djuma Dam pan is not active. I'm laughing, of course, because I don't know what I've done to cause offence, but I'm getting it in the ear sarcastically from Kirsten, who says, when I've left the high action pan, could we link across to Scott? Over to Scott.
So I've decided to come back into the general area where we did have this big male lion this morning in the hope that we may be able to hear some no, just did an update saying that there's a lion crossing out of Djuma right this second. Copy that, Johan. Does he have a big scar below his left eye and a wound on his belly? Oh well, that could have been our lion that we were looking for. Oh, that's so frustrating. Yeah, Johan's getting back to me now, but he only had a brief glimpse. And he's following some buffalo. Torture. Okay, copy that, Johan. Thank you very much. So, no problem at all. Shame. Johan is in the same boat as us. He cannot go any further than our southern boundary. So to wave a sighting like that goodbye is obviously soul destroying. But there's good reason for the traversing agreements that are in place. It's just sometimes it can be torture. More torture for Johan, I guess, than for us. He's the one who saw the lion, saw the buffalo, and then waved them goodbye. At least we're just cheering about it. But there is good news, and that is that Steph, who's been doing a bushwalk through this area, has bumped into a large breeding herd of buffalo. And they are somewhere just up ahead of us, so let's go and see if we can't find them. And who knows, maybe we'll find some other lion that are following them. It certainly is possible. There was tracks of predators all over the property this morning, both for lion and for leopard. We were only successful, sadly, in locating one of those predators, the big male lion, but there could be others lurking nearby. Let's go and see what's happening over here. The lion were apparently heading towards where we've just come from, somewhere in this quite thick block on the left of the road. And large breeding herds of buffalo are a favorite of lions, more so than the big old bulls, because it's a lot easier to take down younger calves or weaker old females than the big old bulls. But there's a catch to that whole system, and that is that the large herds have generally got large numbers. That's why I guess they're called the large herds, and those numbers can rally up and regain composure after initially being chased by a lion, and then chase the lion off any unfortunate buffalo that may have been brought down. And very often buffalo will save fellow herd members from lion. Where's the buffalo? I've got a visual of the first customers, and this is perfect. They're on each side of the road, slowly feeding towards us. They seem quite spread out at the moment. Hello, Joyce in New Hampshire. You would like to know if the Cape buffalo is in any way related to the American bison? Good question. Not that I know of. But they are certainly quite similar beasts, so there's a chance that that is the case. Look at this lady giving us a very wary eyeball. Sadly, that little clump of round leaf teak is covering the center of her head, but although now it's blowing out of the way, and you'll see that and notice that she doesn't have a big crown of horn in her middle parting. She's got a hairy kind of center parting. That is indicative of the females. Both the male and female buffalo will have horns, so you cannot use horns as a distinguishing feature for genders.
I'll show you where they came from. Or Gendre will. There, they came out of that mound. There's a hole there, and they just don't like the sound of the vehicle. I'm not going to hang around here. I don't want them to feel like they have to go rushing off into the bush. But we've been now past here the evening roundabout this time 3 or 4 times, and they stick their heads out and you put the camera on them, you think you're going to get a link, and then they go. They all leap out as fast as they can. How they all fit in there, I don't know. There are 5 little ones and 2 adults. How they fit in that tiny hole, I can't imagine. It must be very hot. Let's go back to Scott with his buffalo.
Now, something caused the buffalo to get a fright. It could simply be that there's some male impala coming and running in our direction. The buffalo all started stampeding off. They're looking back now in the direction that the buffalo came, the impala came running from, and I think they just got an unnecessary fright from impala. Although no, yeah, I can hear buffalo stampeding further up ahead. Listen to that. Are there lions nearby? It's very thick in here. I just want to try and get behind these buffalo and see what may have been causing them to run. It could simply be that there's sense of lion in this area. That male lion did walk down this road last night. We backtracked him after we left him this morning. So maybe they can just smell him and are cautious for that reason. It's a very large herd of buffalo, of which I think I can see a few more members here. Or these elephant, no, these are elephant now. Just found a little gap. There's some ellies, but I'm not going to spend time with them. I'm just going to try and work out what's going on, what's causing these buffalo to stampede. Sparkle Canyon Otter, you would like to know where is the lioness that was with the male, with James last night? We're not too sure. We don't know where she has gone. We did have tracks of a single lioness on our northern boundary close to Sydney's waterhole that looked to have come into Djuma, but we couldn't work out exactly where she had gone. I'm going to turn around. It's so incredibly thick that I don't want to go crashing through this block in search of whatever has disturbed the buffalo. I've got a feeling that it's just a false alarm. Somebody asked this morning what would be the one thing that I would love to see before I leave, and it would be probably an epic lion buffalo hunting sequence. Something that we haven't got to see that often, and it's one of the most awesome showdowns between 2 incredibly powerful animals. And who knows, maybe we're just about to get spoiled with that. Hello, Gracie, who's just 8 years old, and you have inquired as to what about the tea party that I promised we would have across at Arathusa, and why don't we do that tomorrow afternoon, Gracie? We'll go and set up something and have a little tea party across at Arathusa. How does that sound? You let me know. And that would be great. But we can definitely do that before I head off. Hello, R. Beard. You would like to know if we are going to be doing a fireside chat for Nikki and I's farewell drive on Saturday, and yes, we will. For probably the last half an hour of the safari, we will be around a campfire discussing a few things, maybe showing a few clips. So yes, that's something to look forward to. I know we haven't done a fireside chat for quite some time. It's usually on a Sunday night for the new viewers, but Saturday will be Nikki and my last day here, so we'll be doing it then. So yes, that's correct, and we're certainly looking forward to it. The buffalo seem to have calmed down now, so maybe it was merely a false alarm. They just had a little bit of extra energy, and possibly this windy weather is also going to cause them to be on edge. The wind is literally just picking up now, and that's going to make the evening a tough one for them, because they are going to not know very well if lions are creeping up on them, or if it's just the sound of the leaves rustling in the wind. Right, well, as we watch this herd disappear off into the thickets, we are going to be sending you back to James.
And the calm of the evening has descended here. You can hear maybe a red-backed shrike going chook, 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 the odd robin, and of course the hippopotamus come out of the water to graze. What he's eating there, other than sand, I can't imagine, but I think you will find some green grass somewhere around here. Some towards the western side or the left-hand side of your screen. Certainly one of my very favorite times of the day. Well, I'm very pleased that we could deliver a hippopotamus to you, Sparkle Canyon Otter. That is, of course, daily. We learn a new Twitter handle that is astonishing. Sparkle Handle Otter. Wonderful. Now, interestingly, those Egyptian geese have almost the identical diet to that hippopotamus. They are grass and leaf eaters, unless you happen to find those odd ones at Buffelshoek Dam, and they eat fish, which is quite astonishing. And the hippos will be very grateful for the slightly cooler weather. They don't like that blinding heat that we've been having, and they'll enjoy the fact that despite the fact their water is, well, not compromised, but there's just less of it, they can at least cope with the heat. It's the perfect time of the day, this, to just sit and take a deep breath in and be grateful for living in a place like this. You can just see him shining there, the mud on the hippo shining in the last light of the day. Thank you, Okie in Oklahoma. That makes me feel much better indeed, I must say. You say that, you know, we like to see the animals all the time, but you like, and you do too, but you like to come along just for the ride as well. Thank you. That does make me feel better after a drive like today. I'm glad that driving about looking for things as opposed to actually seeing them was still relatively entertaining for you on the back of this car with Jean-Andre and I. Thank you for that, Oki. Okay, I think we're going to leave the waterhole now and make our way slowly down Aubrey's Road, and the reason for that, of course, is I just want to see if there aren't any hyenas there. And we're not going to go to any den site because it's a bit dark, but I did hear hyenas calling earlier, and they were calling definitely from the original den site on Mvubu Road, so maybe they're all still there, but maybe the clan has just split up a little bit, and that's also not unusual. Let's shine the light. Quite a wind coming up out of the southeast, sort of taking away any clouds that there were. There's an exceptional pile of zebra dung there, Jean-Andre, that you missed. I'm most impressed that I managed to find that. It was perfect, you know, perfect pile, and everything arranged symmetrically. Now, we had a question yesterday about the different vegetation types that we get here, and this is quite an interesting one as we just drive through here. You don't need to bother to let's go down that way. And this is called a sodic area, and what it means is that the soil is particularly rich in, unsurprisingly, sodium, and that makes the grasses very nutritious. And that's why when there's a little bit of rain and the green stuff comes up, there will be an enormous attention focused on a place like this by the grazing herbivores, which are now not with us anymore. That's an interesting question from Angela in Boston. You want to know if our senses get heightened during a night drive as compared with a daytime drive. Angela, I think first of all, our senses get heightened just by being out here and by trying to look for animals. We listen so carefully all the time. The sense of smell becomes so much more important out here. And then the seeing, of course, you do see things, I think, more acutely than you would if you lived in a city where you don't have to use your eyes quite so much. At night, though, yes, I suppose our ears and our noses perhaps become slightly heightened because obviously we're semi-blind compared with many of the animals out here. I suppose they would. So, I mean, I've certainly noticed when I go to town now, I'm just that much more aware of things around me. And it's funny, you walk into a shopping center, and you've all had this experience, where you'll walk into a shop, but you'll be walking behind somebody and they'll just stop. They'll have absolutely no awareness of what's going on behind them at all, and you'll bump into them or you'll have to quickly avert going around them. And I find, for me, when I go into the shops, I'm constantly looking kind of over my as if I'm on a bushwalk and looking around, sort of keeping my 360-degree awareness. And I find other people don't do the same thing. Well, why should they? They're not generally expecting to be leapt upon while they buy their weekly eggs or underpants. I'm not sure why I chose underpants as an option there, Jean-Andre, because not many people buy them on a weekly basis, do they?
Unlike you, I tend to change mine more than once a week.
Right, okay. Well, that's good. So yes, indeed. The senses do get a little bit heightened during the darkness. All right, we're going to head back to Scott before I say anything else particularly stupid.
So, what is the cover of darkness going to unveil for us tonight? Time will tell. Oh, bush baby. Just keep on there. This is its home. And we've just found a bush baby nest, which is incredibly fortunate. Let's just get into a comfortable spot here. Probably there. Okay. In that little fork of the tree there's a hole. And if you just go down a bit. Okay, are you fully zoomed in? Straight into that little hole there, Dave, just below the green leaves is where we are. So that's you're perfect. And you can see a little bit of movement there. We are going to get some incredible views of this bush baby as it begins to poke its head out. They've They've got massive, massive eyes that you're going to begin to notice. Oh, there's its hand. You may have just got a glimpse of its little hand. And I'm fairly certain that if we just be a little bit patient, it is going to pluck up the courage to poke its head out and give us some great views of it. This is so wonderful that we found their little nest in this tree, because now we know that we can come back here and find them. There was two. I saw two little tails doing their best to creep into that little hole. Come on. You can see its massive eyeball checking me out as I made that funny squeaking sound. I've once made that noise and had bush babies come bounding through the bushes towards me, but only once. Never again. I tend to keep trying it, hoping that it will happen again. Let's see what happens if we do it one more time. It's having a look. Hello. Hello, you little cutie. For those of you who are new to the Safari Live experience, a bush baby is essentially a nocturnal primate. So it's a monkey that does its business at night. It's got the ability to launch itself from a standstill, then flying at 6 to 10 feet in the air and landing perfectly on a branch after dark. So they are incredibly skilled and agile nocturnal critters. And interestingly, what they feed on is mainly sap from trees, or the gum from trees. And they'll actually go in and tap into various parts of various trees, and then go in and a couple of days later, or maybe the following day, to essentially feed on the sap that's been oozing out of the tree while they've been gone. So they are professional gum tappers, you could say. They will also occasionally feed on insects, but it's mainly a diet of sap from trees or gum from trees. We do one more squeak and see if we can't get it out. We've got a little bit of movement there. Jeff has just mentioned that if you do that same noise in America, you'll get raccoons coming to investigate. So that's interesting. Such a pity that we can't get a better angle. I'm trying to think of how we can reposition to possibly try and poke our noses in that hole, but I don't think we're going to get lucky. So let's just stay here and maybe they will poke their heads out. We are very close to them. We're probably only about 4 meters away, so it would be an incredible sighting if we did get them to come out, but I fear while we are this close, we may not get lucky. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the spotlights off for a while and see if that doesn't allow them to relax. Oh no, and you can't see anything. Tricky. What to do, what to do. Hello, Smiles on Twitter, and you have been fascinated by these interesting little primates and are going to be doing some research as to where exactly they fit in on the whole scale of primates, and that will be interesting. Do let us know what you come up with. This is the lesser bush baby that we get in this area. You also get the greater bush baby, which is far larger. And that hole is very small that they're squeezed into. I'm actually surprised they could fit in there. It's probably only about 2 2 inches in diameter. And Patricia, you've commented on that ginormous eye that keeps peering out at us from that hole. It's ginormous in relation to their head. It's almost about a third of the size of their head is taken up from their huge eye, which obviously aids them in hopping from branch to branch at night. Here we go. Oh, so close. See its little ears poking out there. Come on, you will make so many people around the world happy if we just get to see a little bit more of you. Franklin's went absolutely bananas there, almost to celebrate our better view of it. What's going on in there? Looks like it's trying to groom itself, certainly bobbing its head up and down. That you'll be able to see. Maybe it's just getting itself ready to come out and do a full reveal. Come on. Come out, come out. Not having much joy here, but I really do think it's going to be worth sticking around, because if it does decide to come out, we are going to get absolutely spoiled with some incredible views. Hello, Pelican Penny in Florida. You asking if the light doesn't hurt the bush baby's eyes. I don't think it hurts their eyes, but it will definitely cause it to squint a little bit and readjust. You can see the way it's looking at us. If it was hurting its eyes, it wouldn't be looking straight at us like that. And you'll also notice, Dave, if you zoom out a little bit, I've got the brightest portion of the light actually above where the hole is. So I'm just casting that kind of periphery light, which isn't as bright, on where the bush baby is. So you can kind of see that I am doing my best to try and just give enough light for us to see, but not put the brightest portion of light on the bush baby. Come on. Come on, little bush baby. I think it's wizened up to my little squeaking sounds. It's not seeming to pay as much attention to them. Well, I don't think it is going to come out while we are so close. And I'm feeling like our presence here is preventing it getting on with its business, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to say goodbye to this little bush baby. I'll definitely inform the others as to where this tree is, because this is going to be a place worth doing some stakeouts. If this is the only burrow that they live in for the time being, or cavity, we could hopefully come and spend some time here and maybe make them understand that we just want to view them, and they could become a little bit more relaxed with our presence. But for now, I think a lot of you will agree that we should push on and leave the little family of bush babies be. That was really, really awesome though, and glad that we've found one of their homes. Thanks, Dave. Well, that brings us towards the end of the safari, so thank you very, very much to everyone involved. well done Dave on camera, who remained composed during one of the most hair-raising sightings I have ever been involved in with that big elephant bull on 2 occasions. The second one was obviously the most frightening of the 2. And very happy that you guys were there alongside us to experience it and share those memories, because that is not going to happen again anytime soon, I don't think. So awesome stuff, and well done to Kirsty and Nikki and the girls in the final control room. We will all be joining you on the sunrise safari, or you'll be joining us. Either way, we'll all be out in the morning, first thing, to see what's happening. So look forward to that adventure with you. We'll see you all then. Back to James.
Oh, it is a blustery night, everyone. The wind is coming out of the southeast at quite a rate now, and the impala are looking terrified. They're coming out onto the clearings here to see if they can see what is going to try and eat them during the course of the night. There was a leopard heading in this direction. Those are the tracks that Scott had, and I'm sure that's we saw you with him just down the other side of quarantine clearings. What I'm going to do is just head towards the Djuma Dam pan. I don't know if it's actually, the camera's working. Is it working, Kirsten? It's up and down, so we can't see it at the moment, but I'm just going to go and check if he hasn't possibly come past for a drink. Now, our male leopard came past this area yesterday for a drink. Apparently it is working on our website, so that's good. But just in case there isn't a leopard heading towards the water for a little bit of a drink on a hot day like this, I just want to have a quick look. So this wind is lovely. I mean, there's a really nice temperature at the moment. Not so Gendry. Another herd of impala down there, so obviously not many leopards around this area now, unless one of the impalas is about to be devoured. Just quickly have a look here. We've only got about 20 seconds left, so I will just quickly say thank you to all of you once again. Wonderful discussions that we had. I especially enjoyed those kids today. Wasn't it great to talk to them today? And a big thanks to Gendry on the camera today. Well done, Gendry. Scott, of course, with David. I'm glad they're okay. And a big thank you to Kirsten and Nikki in the final control. We will see you tomorrow at 05:30. And when the dawn breaks, stay happy where you are, and see you then.